396 fit-er helmet through the eye of the needle. I'll tell you what my right hand and left hand path is. It's encoded perfect number 28 for one thing, but it's all about looking at that omega, the literal omega sign, and then taking your Kispa spark there and going clockwise or counterclockwise, starting and ending left to right, starting and ending right to left, ending and starting left to right, right. I mean, it would really be you either start left to right or end right to left. Like demons don't experience time, but they're there. What happens? They're going the other way. It's relativity. Not that Einstein was a demon. If he was a real person, he probably would have been a nice guy, right? He made a good enough model. Why not have him be pleasant despite being slightly one-stoned? So I think occiputal is ox e putal. And so your ox mu puts the e where the IP is, taking the if out of if you control whether or not you're going to survive your own journey on the river that is the rapids of the omega. And if you want it to be uphill, up rapid, upstream, whether or not you drop your paddle, you can make it that way or you can go downstream. And again, it's relativity for what it's worth. You don't really know from moving if the thing that it's like sometimes when someone with a clutch rolls a bit and you push your brake harder, you think you're rolling. The stream is uphill in your mind. The current that is quote-unquote taking you, or that is fighting you, or that you're fighting a current is all sort of on this omega journey moot. Because you know by looking at this, it almost comes back to where it touches. It's the winding river that is so slow it almost closes a loop, then creating a little marshy island. And whether you want this or not, you really at this point, if you're on the omega, is to balance the alpha correctly displayed upside down. You see that what it is it seems like there's fluid in the top of a martini glass. Well, hopefully there's enough of a stem or something on this glass that you can grip it tight to what not spill it as you're on this rapid ride that you decide is going up or downstream. And when you complete the journey, like I said, start left to right or start at the end right to left. And as you're going around this with your alpha martini glass on the river Omega, realizing that at some point you will need to be ox e putal and in control, not occiputal where your cord is, IP, possibly flagging wind. The controls need to be manned. You're the man. And this is because you're going to jump that bridge, evil Neville. Da 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 da. And it doesn't matter if the Dukes of Hazzard Mobile survives, because you just got to get to the garden. And if the bridge is built right, you can stroll across it and it's not that scary. But if it isn't built well, it might look like a big, huge, purple-headed demon. Or it might look like every pet that you've ever had to bury. It's hard to say, it's all up to you. And this is the behest, but not the disposal of understanding that you are the mind and the body whose sins can be disposed. But possibly, maybe, better should be, not Thelma and Louised, but carefully parked. Even when the journey seems like it's been complete, the work might then be still not quite done. As are most things, which we do in life, somewhat like Homer Simpson. The desk isn't enough of an omega, you see. He sits at more of a C shape. And the C's are where we surf in from. And the parking of the car, the surfing that last tube, the true wave collapse at this point of the actual ocean of your journey here. Is that evil Neville jumping? Not with a surfboard or a motorcycle, folks, but with your mind. And it's the bridge that could be crossed at any time. And if you've waited until the end, boy, are you going to have wanted to have a helmet brought with you at that point. Fit your helmet through the eye of the needle, folks. Because the leap's going to look scary if the preparation you've done for it is nil. I don't mean go out and buy a motorcycle. I mean start working on what it is that has this body stitch its brain back into something that doesn't kick its own doors in to have to reach through itself. And I am referring to the NIJ, the Gates of Hades translation that Jesus supposedly told Paul. And it's nonsense. You are between the C's, church. The word right there, take the H's out. It's very plain. These C's were separated so that this whole island is a place where you and you alone pull up your tent pole. Yes, we don't descend to man. We rise up. And, the famous thing you read while you take a pee in Grandma's bathroom back in the day about the one footsteps disappearing. And now it's just you. That's because it's telling you that the gods are right there below us. We're below us. They're a little bit mechanical. They're a little bit dumb. Some of them want to be these, you human. Because they understand that that's what's making them stupid, they are not in time. In time. They are out of snike rhythm. Being out of time is literally being out of time. And whether you're God or man or the thing that you understand, you are then that perspective. And you decide which side of that mirror you want to be on. And my thesis, all solutions, as solitons, come from the dimension above is explained with that mirror. Lenses focusing the light. 3D is the, locked-in, thing that from time looks like a mirror, a screen, a scrying mirror. That's right. Saturn could maybe, Father Time could watch us. Watch us like a channel on his television. How many channels does he have? They're technically unlimited and, hard to, scan through sequentially, you see, because you're in charge of your own channel. It's your frequency, your ability to, quantize what is before you and then, have it look like something that your eyes will then tell you back. Okay, in this cabinet. And then your body quickly takes that tau protein to figure out the address of those microtubules that will get it to the master library. The Akashic record. No, the master library. The what you are. The what you've become. You master this library. It is what you've managed to assemble for yourself. The how is that when we're born, you start with a cabinet. What's in it? Not a damned thing. Because you have decided that you're flawed and God is the thing that you can maybe think you're an assistant to at best. If you need to have a pope hold your hand or someone to show you a way or shoo you away. Away? Or away from this given self that knows not doubt until you pour that in your drain. You know, really what you need to have done is your head below water. To be baptized. I don't know. If you're Jupiter and Neptune's your father, of course. The island comes from the sea. But you need to understand that maybe at some point, the controls need to be manned. And so at that point, be in the driver's seat. And man up, man or woman. Man and woman is what it is. Because Omega has the handles right there to see on the right and left, or the left and right. Which direction are you looking at it from? If you actually line up just right, it just looks like a vertical line. And on that, you could be safely amidships. Thank you. There it is. In line of the keel. 50-50. Bow and stern. Well, maybe not quite. The new cross has the phi so prominently displayed. And that is the plank that you walk out on. To be the man. Now it's time to jump. Jump the bridge. Are you going to make it to the garden? Or are you going to, at the last minute, spin the wheel to the right or left and decide? I'm just going to get right back on the lazy river, folks. I'm not ready this time. I'll see you next time. Boy, was that light bright. Hey, where did all my library cards go? I'm hearing this strange sound. Wah. Oh, that's me. And I seem to need to put all my library cards back, where I once seemed to have just had them. Wait, it's fatting. I'm 6 years old. Well, I guess these will have to be my new gospels. My evangelical evangelions. A word that means stories of victory from war. And I'm certainly not going to write about my defeats. And so this will be my own history. My own distorted history. Maybe based on other distorted histories. So that I feel okay, more okay about lying to myself in this way. And this is something that I suppose I will just have to lock. And therefore not have any sort of testimony or type of repentance about anything. I'm just going to go up to that guy who's on the wall. He doesn't seem to move. He seems to be attached to it. I'm going to just punch him. And then that's okay. Because I'm really just here for the donuts and the music. And I used to drink a lot of coffee. But I can't anymore. Something's happening to me where some things are going offline. Some of my library cards are in fact missing. And I feel déjà vu and wonder. Maybe if this was something I was in control of. This very recording. The recording of what is life. Or what is this actual digital recording? I could back it up just enough to be like, I am about to have to start this process over. If you're tired of being a librarian, stop letting your cards be erased. Not by Erasmus, but by your own eraser. Keep your shit. And start this over at your will. That would be ideal. Would it not? But how long would that last? I love it that Kevin can, a platonic surrealist. Really the one that came up with that. And that which is in it. Tells you that if you were to completely start with all the answers, life would last something like 0.0000003 seconds. And that is, sort of too ideal. It's the near-death experience. Approximating that not only knowledge required, but the experience itself within that possibility. That rare shade of color. We now get back to you, understanding you are within that prism. That prism of color that changes. Saturn trying to track your channel. He doesn't. He doesn't care. He doesn't need to. You are the judge. You are time. Because the dimensions are separated just by these panes. These lenses. What looks like a sun. Actually a gaping maw. And this can be you at the edge of a lake of fire. Or wherever else you find yourself. Probably staring at a UFO at this point. But when you, Evil Knievel, have the balls, and realize that you're about to land in the garden, make sure that you have the keys to those cabinets, the ones you kept locked up. Because maybe, just maybe, you still have a chance to unlock it. And then have the clean landing that you need. Because the ground is approaching you. And it's approaching you fast. Yes, the gravity electrogravitic static phenomenon exists even there, as pure gravitas. And you can get addicted so much to being in this heaven that you've been so longing to return to, that you're afraid to try the whole lazy river. As ironic as that seems, why would a lazy river scare someone so securely back into the bosom of heaven? Well, that is because this life is a tentpole, a maypole, where the energy that comes up to greet you is of your own deciding. Something at your disposal, but hopefully at your behest. And if it is not, then it is a nightmare that if you do make it back to the bosom, you never leave. Some people live this life, in fact, in that manner. We know the types of person I might speak of. It is a shade of, a prism prison shimmer of created by who? By you. And we all know, that is a way, one way to cower through something. Maybe you got bumped off the island. Another whirlpool stormed over your tentpole. But make sure that what you realize is that the lazy river is something that is entered with your own courageous preparations. And as you step off of this, remember that you will find yourself back in one way or another. Maybe as wonderful starlight, flipping channels, flickering light, be your own watch Hubble show. A star makes others bright as well. Who knows what lies beyond the deepest twinklings? It's all your imagination after all.